Hi, welcome to BackChat. Today we are delighted to host Honorable Collins Nzovu, the Minister of Green Economy and the Environment. Minister, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving us your time. We've been hoping to have this discussion with you. How's everything going?
I think all is okay, and I was also looking forward to having this very important discussion.
Okay, this is a very important discussion with what's been happening in the country, and we are very grateful for you giving us your time. We'll just get right into it. In February, the President declared national disaster, that we're going to be having a drought during this period, the El Nino. We just wanted to find out what you're doing about it and your ministry and how you are dealing with this issue.
Well, I think maybe basically the beginning is the creation of the ministry.
Okay.
I think maybe even a step back, if you look at the UNPND manifesto, we stated very clearly that we put a high premium on environmental sustainability and that would tackle the issues of climate change in a very active manner. So President Hichilema, forming government, quickly created the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment. What's the mandate? The mandate is basically to mainstream green growth pathways across the sectors of the economy to ensure that development is done in a low carbon manner, that there's resource efficiency, and that there's social inclusivity, the three pillars. So when you look at what's happening now, indeed, these negative effects of climate change, there's a severe drought now. And initially in the country, there was a debate of how severe this is compared to the last drought. When you look at the meteorological data right now, maybe even before meteorological data, if you recall the forecast I made through Parliament, ministerial statement through Parliament, we stated very, very clearly that this year would receive normal to below normal rainfall. That's in September. Came December, January, February, our advisories were spot on also that the season we're receiving was a difficult one. Now, how have we prepared, as you said, coming to your question specifically? When we quickly realized this, we undertook to do a lot of advisories, particularly in one sector which is affected so badly by climate change, and this is the agriculture sector. As a ministry, we trained a lot of agriculture, more than 300 agriculture extension officers.
Okay.
We upgraded our meteorological stations. We have a lot of automated stations now. We employed qualified manpower. This was to ensure that the information we give to many user sectors like agriculture, energy, water, that information is spot on, and also that is interpreted in the correct manner. Further, I'm sure you know, stepping further in the active rain season, we realized that we're receiving less and less rainfall. That this drought was a severe drought. President Hichilema declared it a national disaster and emergency. Fortunately, even before we reached this stage, remember he's been making pronouncements about water harvesting. How do we do water harvesting? How do we become food secure in the midst of a drought? The answer there was encouraging our farmers, particularly commercial farmers who have irrigation equipment, to do winter maize. Just last month, we harvested a very big amount of winter maize. President Hichilema as well encouraged our security services, particularly ZNS, Correctional Service, and the Army, to go into maize production. In the absence of war or instability, we're a very peaceful country. So our security forces have been engaged to go into productive ventures. So we're expecting winter maize from ZNS, we're expecting winter maize from the correctional services. We've also gone ahead to do the actual water harvesting. I'm glad to tell you that even in my constituency in Ngoma, we built a dam there.
Okay.
So right now there's water impounded and the animals are drinking. We also intend to do off-rain crops because we then have that resource. So you can see the preparations around this, that they've been quite spot on. The situation would have been worse had we not put in these measures to ensure that we have food security in our country.
Okay, that's very encouraging, and congratulations for the initiative you've taken in your constituency. So, given the global momentum in combating climate change, what opportunities do you see for Zambia to position itself as a leader in green energy and sustainable development? And how can foreign investment play a role in creating this?
I think that's a very, very important question. For me, you start with the challenges. What has this drought brought up? This drought has brought up, first of all, food insecurity, energy insecurity, water insecurity. We need to be energy sufficiency, but we also strive to be energy surplus. So there's a huge opportunity there because not only in Zambia, the whole region is energy insecure. So opportunities to put more clean projects, increase our hydropower potential. Look at the solar potential. Already we are investing in a lot of solar energy. Not too long ago, CEC issued a green bond, remember?
Yes.
Issued a green bond, about $200 million. So we worked very closely with the Securities and Exchange Commission to ensure that the policy framework, the laws, several regulations, that we are attractive for that investment. And remember, one of the key things President Hichilema did quickly when he assumed that office was to stabilize the country, was to ensure that Kadarism stops, that corruption is fought, that we attract investments also in the mining sector, the policy framework around this. All of this you are seeing issues of a green bond is as a result of a lot of background work which we are doing. Now, how do we position ourselves further? We are endowed with a lot of minerals, what we are called green minerals, copper, cobalt, lithium, and everything. How do we effectively utilize these minerals, this raw material, and our core to ensuring that we value add on this raw material? So we're also positioning ourselves by attracting investment in this area. But the investment we want to attract is that which also adds value on that mineral so that a lot of the resources remain in the country so that we develop our country. So we believe that Zambia is investment ready, that Zambia should be the country where the energy transition actually is assisted because we have that resource. This is a country which we must be a global food supplier because we have enough land here. Despite climate change, the weather conditions are still good. We have the water resource, we are peaceful, we have a hardworking people. So we are investment ready here.
All right, thank you for that. You've touched on this a bit, and we've been talking about the drought. So the drought has obviously affected the country's energy supply. Since 80% of our energy comes from hydropower, and since President Hichilema's government has made foreign investment in green energy a priority, what kinds of renewable resources and sources can we expect to see powering the country in future, and how will the government expand this into more rural areas?
I think that's a very, very important question. Maybe when you step back, what's the genesis? We need to grow our economy. And our economy has basically been centered on exploitation of our mineral resource, and particularly copper. And remember, we've also put our target, an ambitious one for that matter, to move from 700, 800,000 tons per year to 3 million tons per year in the next decade. Right now, we are using about 3 gigawatts in the country. To move to 3 million, I think the estimates are that we need to double our capacity. So we are looking at 2.5 to 3,000. In fact, not 3,000. We are looking at 5,000 to 6,000 megawatts. So meaning that we need to develop another 3 gigawatts of power. Okay, that's an ambitious target.
Yes.
That's what we need to do. But to do that, we need to ensure that the energy is there. We need to ensure that our hydropower potential is there. Remember, we are mainly hydropower bases, you said already yourself. And we are suffering this load shedding because of the climate crisis, because we have received very little rainfall. Our capacity right now is adequate for what we have, but not for our projections for increased production. So we are being affected because of basically climate change. So first and foremost, we need to ensure that we water harvest, we increase our hydropower potential. Now, what have we done so far in this realm? Just when we came into office, we realized that energy was very, very important. We invested in completion of Okafueloa. I think the last 1 or 2 units were not completed.
Yes.
We found the construction activities were suspended because the previous government had no capacity to pay. I think they accumulated so much debt, and they were already in default. So the contractor left site. So we found money to complete that unit. So that unit was completed under our watch. That's number one. Number two, you've seen that, again, President Hichilema called upon the country to ensure that we have a better energy mix. So in the advent of climate change, less water, less hydropower potential, what do we need to do? We need to depend on other sources. And that source which we concentrated on was solar. Already CEC has, I think, almost 100 megawatts of solar. They're putting plants to the tune of about 100 megawatts already. Just last week, President Hichilema commissioned the 60 megawatts. Okay, I think there was another almost 30 something megawatts. So almost 100 megawatts together. They are also going to develop another 143 megawatts or something, at least 100 megawatts. It's going to come on stream. Further, and we are very proud of CEC because of the work they're doing. They also have expressed an interest in developing another 200 megawatts hydro. They are also continuing to see how they can develop more solar. As government ourselves, we are looking at various sites, and one of the interesting sites is up in the north, Luapula Hydro, on the Luapula River. So already we are making good progress in establishing the Luapula authority, river authority there, to ensure that we see how we can invest in energy there, how we can build a dam across there, how we can irrigate from that water source. So we're doing a lot of efforts.
Okay, thank you for that. In addition to what you've been saying, that we have been producing more hydro, focusing on that and looking into harvesting to produce more power, energy, and also organizations and companies like CEC are producing more. So based on what you said, in your opinion, do you think the private sector can also do more? And is your ministry and the government willing to work with other investors in the private sector to help generate more energy?
This government wants to attract as much private sector involvement in this sector as much as possible.
Okay.
Now, who has produced, let me ask you a question, who has produced the first winter crop of maize? It's a private sector. So the private sector have that irrigation potential. The private sector built those dams. In here at Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, we invited the Zambia National Farmers Union. We've been working very closely with them, together with the Ministry of Agriculture, to see how they can double their efforts. How can they produce more maize? And by the way, you also need to give kudos to President Hichilema again. This is the first time since the Manawasa days that winter maize has been grown. Farmers shunned growing maize because government was not buying it. They were also not being given a good price. There was a time when they grew winter maize and government didn't take it up. They made losses. Why are they doing this now? It's the confidence they have in President Hichilema. When he says something, he stands for his word. You know, credibility is everything in business.
100%. So
right now, they've grown winter maize. Soon, I think in the next 1 month or two, we'll be doing another harvest.
Okay.
That's ensuring that there's food security. So farmers are coming on board. This is a private sector.
Okay, so with what you've said, how can Zambia use its bountiful copper and cobalt resources to boost the global green movement, especially in making things like batteries for electric cars and renewable energy in tech?
If you look at statistics, and I was looking at statistics from various audit firms, renowned audit firms, the demand for green metals is only going to increase. And it's going to increase exponentially. What you do to attract that investment, you need to be investment ready. Again, I say it's the policies, it's the laws.
Yeah.
It's how do you make the country attractive? Because at the end of the day, we need to ensure that the resource works for us. But obviously not only us, but the private sector. It's a win-win situation. It's the reason why you see also the President President Hichilema, talking about partnering with the private sector. How do we ensure that our people form JVs with these investors? Because these investors, remember, they are borrowing money where they're coming from, and the money has to be paid back.
Yes.
How do we make sure that we are attractive as a country? We need to ensure that our policy framework is right. We need to ensure that the private sector as well is protected. So we need an enabling environment, and that's what we are creating. That's why you see Mopani coming back. That's why KCM is almost there. That's why people are investing Shaft 28.
Agreed. Oh, thank you for that, Honorable. One last question for you. Based on what you've just said, you've touched on it a bit. How can Zambia leverage its national assets to benefit its citizens, promoting initiatives like ecotourism and conservation agreements? How can the government ensure that the country's development balances economic progress with environmental preservation?
I think, again, it's a similar question you asked. It's in what we're trying to do. The third pillar in our 8th National Development Plan is environmental sustainability. When you look again at the definition of what a green economy is, and the green economy is what we desire to create in the country. Low carbon, resource efficiency, social inclusivity. So the third pillar of that green economy, social inclusivity, means that whatever you do in the country must benefit your citizens. And that's the reason why, remember, we're talking about JVs and everything. And remember, ecotourism, just tourism itself, we believe is one of the key sectors which will bring a lot of revenue to the country. A lot of things have happened in the tourism sector, by the way, even before we come to ensuring that it benefits the people. We've attracted a lot of investment in the tourism sector. 2 or 3 years ago, I think our bed capacity was it dropped to about 30-40%. We're not attractive enough to attract the tourists, to attract all these meetings, big meetings, conferences we have. What has happened right now? Just a few policy changes. And one of them is to ensure that we remove taxes, a few taxes which were hindering our people from coming in. And we were criticized before that you are giving away revenue. We don't believe that most of the revenue should come from the taxes. It's from the growth of the business. Right now, when I talked to Honorable Skumba, our occupancy levels reached 70-80%. There were times when we have conferences where we have no bed space at all, in Livingstone or in Lusaka. Right now, when you look at the resurgence in the wildlife, of our wildlife, there are more animals now. We are really investing in this tourism sector to ensure that it contributes positively to the growth of our GDP. And in the end, employ more Zambians. In the end, form joint ventures with the foreign partners, the private sector. All of this is to ensure that we not only grow our economy, but that we create jobs for our people, that we improve the lives of our people. It's all connected.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Honorable. If you've got any closing remarks or anything you feel we didn't touch on, this is your opportunity.
Zambia is investment ready in all sectors.
Okay.
We ensure that we exploit our mineral potential to the benefit of not only those coming to work with us, but to the Zambians. We ensure that we are food secure, but we desire to be food supplies. We ensure that we are energy sufficient and energy supplies. We need to ensure that we have enough energy to cater for that 3 million tons per year in the next decade. But also, we have a huge opportunity in the SADC region to export this power. So when you look at where Zambia is and the fact that now we've restructured our debt, right now we are attracting a lot of foreign direct investment. Right now, things are happening in the country. We can only urge the private sector, the would-be investors, to come on board. Zambia is a rich country in its natural capital.
Thank you. So you've heard it from the man himself. This has been BackChat with Honorable Collins Nzovu, the Minister of Green Economy and the Environment. Honorable, thank you for your time, and we look forward to a great time for Zambia.